I'm going to introduce our MC for this evening, John Godot. If you don't know him, you will. John, thanks so much for your time, effort, your volunteer work. Appreciate it. Everybody, if you look to the north, you'll see something that is very, very special to us. The United States flag. We're here because of that flag. We're here because of sacrifice, dedication, and let's look at that old glory. Everybody take your hat off and let's say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, individual, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I said individual, I meant indivisible. All right, we have some real special guests here tonight. We have our inductees, the Palmer Smith Cattle Company, right here. And let me remind everybody, you know, this is a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal. We have the Teliaferro. Where are you? Ken, there you are. All right. And Mike Beers, where are you? Beers right here, Beers family. It's going to be really cool. And John is going to talk a little bit about you guys and introduce you. And it's a really great effort, what we're going through here. I want to thank the Climber Museum and our friends over here in the corner. We are partnered with them, and we do a lot of great things. If you guys didn't know, John Climber is up there with Frederick Remington and Charlie Russell. He's one of the most famous Western artists. And these guys are help support us. We support them. We do some neat things together. And I think in the future, there's a lot of neat things to be gleaned out of that. Where's Grace? Grace. We have the honor of having Grace Mulder, who's the Cle Elum Roundup Queen, with us tonight. We have the Ellensburg Rodeo Queen, Katie Bloom. Yeah. Wonderful, and they'll be helping us with the some of the gathering up of the dessert dash stuff, and our Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame directors. It's a completely volunteer organization. They work really, really hard to get this stuff done. So if you're with Erhoff directors, please stand up and give yourself a pat on the back. Do it now. John Brotherton, Claire Alderman, Kent Lester. Yeah. But not only that, this is your Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame. And I always like to remember and remind everyone that without you, there is no Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame. And without the rodeo, there is no Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame. And without the first peoples of the Yakima Nation, there is no Ellensburg Rodeo or Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame. So we need to always remember and thank our volunteers, our Native brothers, that, you know, hey, this is a story we need to keep telling. And I've communicated with other rodeos, halls of fame, and they agree. This is a story we need to keep telling. It identifies us in the West. It's our identity. And so with that, I'm going to let John Godot take over. And he's going to talk about a dessert dash. And when he's done, we're going to do a prayer before supper. We're going to dismiss for supper real quick. And then we'll get back to business.
Thank you. take these? You want me to steal your phone?
No. Well, I mean, there's nothing on it. I have nothing to hide.
Can we give a round of applause to our Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame president, Mitch Truax? So Mitch would be the first one for me to agree with me, which actually we agree on a lot of stuff, but this is a great working board. It's a real privilege to be a part of the Hall of Fame board. The banquet here tonight, we have, as any nonprofit boards do, we have a lot of committees, whether it's fundraising or communications, marketing, induction. This committee right here, or that's putting this on, is our banquet committee. So what I want to do is just kind of give a tip of the hat to those individuals on our banquet committee. So Kent Lester, give a wave. Oh, come on. Come on, yeah, a rodeo queen wave, Kent, come on. Zora Holmes there in the back. Where's Terry Phillip? Terry right here. Nate Bradshaw is actually working, but our fearless leader, and I really do mean that, our fearless leader, Donna Hunyon, come on. No, both hands, Donna. There we go. This is a really fun banquet committee to be a part of. We'll have a debriefing here in a couple of weeks, and then we start planning for next year. What are we going to do? What's been working? What needs to change? But it's a real fun event to be a part of. Also want to say thanks to Spirit Therapeutic Riding Center as well. What a wonderful venue. It's great to be in the dirt here, and there's a slight breeze, which is proof that God wants us to be a little bit comfortable, warm, but comfortable as well. So, and our friends, the Kittitas County Cattle Women. I've been looking forward to this dinner. For a year, since last year. So thank you very much. So we're going to be releasing tables here really quick for dinner. But I also want to point you to the center of the table. Maybe you've already seen it. We have our dessert dash auction. So anybody who's been here before, you already know to check out the dessert tables. I've got it narrowed down to about 28 cakes, pies, cookies, whatever it is, muffins that I want to bid on. My wife is already rolling her eyes, and my daughter's proud of me. So there we go. On your tables are bid cards for the dessert auction. So we're going to be picking those up here in just a couple of minutes. So make sure, if you haven't already bid, it's kind of a bid that each table does. Each bid number will combine on one table. So make sure everybody pays attention to that. So Cattle Women, are we ready to serve our guests tonight? A little bit. They've asked us for a little bit, so does that mean you and I sing some George Strait favorites, or let's say a prayer.
This guy, I mean, how do you follow an act like that? Let's give thanks for supper tonight and the fact that we're all here together for a darn good cause. Heavenly Father, we come before you to seek your blessing and your guidance for this important event. Thank you for the gift of this opportunity to gather in the spirit of generosity and the spirit that brings us together tonight. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Is everybody hungry?
I'm going to release the tables. I'm going to look to our royalty here that we introduced here just a minute ago. If you can help us escort our inductees and their tables. Our inductees, of course, are first and foremost on our minds tonight, so if I can have our royalty with Mr. Palmer's table here at number 8, Mr. Beers and his family and friends at number 7. KT, what table are you? I can't see that number. Number 3 as well. So the Palmer Smith table, the Beers table, and the Teliaferro table, they're going to start us off tonight. So let me explain the dessert dash just a little bit. So what we are going to be doing is on your table, everybody has their own bid number, or every couple has their own bid number. And everybody can contribute what they want to each dessert dash ballot card. And then the tables that donate the most money or bid the most money, we're going to call them first. So if it's table 22 that donates the most money combined, we'll call their number out first. So we're going to, whatever each table wants to donate per bid number, so we'll do that. We'll compile those, and at the end of dinner, we'll announce the winners. So each bid number will bid what, each ballot number, pardon me, that you were given will bid whatever they feel is necessary, but each table is combined into one overall bid, and that's the table that will win whatever dessert of choice you would like to do. Let's also release our friends from the Yakima Nation who will be performing a little bit later tonight. Our Yakima Nation friends, if they want to join us in the buffet line. There's 2 lines. You can create both lines at both tables there. Everybody, please enjoy dinner tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, while we're enjoying dinner, kind of want to go over the schedule for the night, the cadence of the night, if you will. Obviously, we're going to announce our dessert dash winners here, in about 30 minutes or so, give or take. But while we're going to be enjoying dinner, we have the Wild Rose performers here tonight from the Yakima Nation. They will be performing here in front of the podium in about 45 minutes or so. Really looking forward to this dance tonight, and we really appreciate our friends and our neighbors from the Yakima Nation being here tonight and performing. And then after that, we'll have a Raise the Paddle kind of fundraiser. One of our banquet committee members, one of our board members, Nate Bradshaw, who's in charge of our archives here, something that we're very proud of at the Hall of Fame. We'll talk about what we've been doing with our previous donations and what we have plans to do for the rest of 2025 going into 2026 as well. And then, of course, we'll have our 3 inductees. We'll present them and officially induct them into our Hall of Fame museum and hear a few words from them as well. So, again, everybody, enjoy dinner tonight, and we'll be back here in a little bit. So, once you hear your table number read, just run over to the table. Whatever dessert looks the best to you, you pick it, you bring it back to your table. I'm going to give everybody like a 5-second head start before I'm going to pick the next table. Is everybody ready for the dessert dash? Table number 14, you cannot choose Pam Bossman to be your runner. So, She's got crutches, ladies and gentlemen. She's got crutches, and she's still volunteering at the Ellensburg Rodeo. She's still working at the Ellensburg Rodeo, and she still puts up with her really cool husband, Scott Bossman. So, Dessert Dash winners, the top table, table number 17. You better start running. Table number 17, find your runner. We got a runner already. Table number 13. Table number 13, Henry Johnston in the lead, second place. Table number 18. There we go. Table number 14. Table number 14, Brock. There we go. Table number, Brock already lost some steam here. Table number 6. Table number 6. There we go. Table number 21. Table number 21. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed your dessert, and I hope you're ready for some great entertainment. I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves here in just a little bit, but you can see our friends from the Yakima Nation, the Wild Rose dancing team is here, our Wild Rose performers. So give us just about 60 seconds here. We're getting set up. We'll continue our evening.
All right, we are now ready. Second round. Sheikh Klawit. Good evening, everybody. Tonight we have the honor to hear Wild Rose, a Yakima drum and dance group, perform for us. This group is known nationally. They perform, actually internationally. They perform north of the border, south of the border. They're performing all over the USA. So to each and every one of you who have come tonight, Kwachlanu Shamatash. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. This is Mr. Casey McWalley.
All right. Thank you very much there, Nate. Shaklawit. I wasn't prepared to hear Nate speaking Yakima. Good job there. We want to say thank you to each and every one of you for being here, your attendance. And now we want to introduce ourselves. My name is Casey McWalley. We have the drum group here is known as Wild Rose. They travel throughout the United States and Canada. They go and sing at a lot of different powwows, celebrations, championship drum group. Also, we have dancers that are representing the Yakima Nation, the Warm Springs, and they're here to share their style with you. They are also champion dancers throughout the United States and Canada. Every weekend, starting in, actually year-round, we have powwows, celebrations, and at those powwows, they have competitions. And the dancers you're going to see today, they are champions in their own right. Today, we're going to share with you some dances, some songs, and at the end, if you are up for it, we do have a social dance that we can share with you. We'll invite you to come out and dance with us. No pressure, but you will be invited later if you want to. We're going to begin. We have our dancers here. We have the categories, and when we go through, I will explain to you the different dances that are going to be done, the different dances that we're going to share with you. But we're going to start out with what is called an intertribal dance, to where we have all the dancers come out, and they will show you their dance styles all together at once. So we're going to ask our dancers to go ahead and come on out here. And when we do get started with the dancing and the singing, do not be shy. Do not be afraid to clap for them, cheer for them, scream, war whoop, however you want to do it. Because these dancers, you'll see it when they get going, when their moves are, their footwork, the grace, all of that is it'll get you emotional. It'll get you excited. It'll make you feel good. So we want to share with you guys to start out with all of our dancers out here. We're going to ask for Wild Rose to go ahead and start us out. Here we go, our first dance for all of you this evening. Yeah, there you go. Put your hands together. Round of applause. All right, there we go. We have our traditional dancers, our ladies' traditional dancers are going to come on out to the floor. We have with you, for you, all right. The little one's coming up here and requesting her favorite song. She wants to make sure that we sing it for her, so. But this is the woman's traditional dance. What you see here is traditionally done here in the Plateau region. Throughout the country, different tribes have a different version of this dance. You'll see a different style of dress. You'll see a different style of footwork. But what it is, you'll see the grace and the beauty of these women's traditional dancers. You see the little one here. Her name is Joni, and she has on her head. This is something that is earned among our women, the Plateau women. And what she wears is called a patlapa. It's a basket hat. You earn that when you gather foods and you help your people. That's one of the teachings that we have. So for seeing her wearing that today, you will recognize, if you ever see these ladies wearing these hats, you'll know that they are the ones that take care of the people. They're the ones that take care of the foods. They're the ones that help out at the longhouses. So these dances that we have, yeah, go ahead, give her a round of applause. Like I said, if you feel it, you're more than welcome to cheer them on. What they're going to share with you is we're going to start out with a straight song, and you'll see the footwork and the grace and the beauty of this dance when they come around. And then when the song stops, we're going to go into what's called a circle dance. They're going to have a song where our women do this dance, and they come out on the floor. So these two dances that we want to share with you with our women's traditional dancers. So here we go. All right, there you go. Song number one for our traditional dancers. This young one here, her name is Joni Walsey. She's from Wapato, Washington. Currently, what grade is she in now? First grade. She's a first grader at Wapato. Let's give her a round of applause. And this is her mother. This is Tilda Walsey from Wapato, Washington. Let's give her a round of applause. Now we want to share with you a circle dance for our women's traditional. All right, you're getting the idea. Nice big round of applause for our traditional dancers, the ladies' traditional. I want to let you guys know before we go any further that there are differences in these dances. You'll see the footwork, the style of dress, or the style of feathers that they wear. And also, the dance that we're doing here is more of a celebration, a social dance that we have. We do have ceremonial dances that we don't allow pictures, we don't allow recordings. But this one here, these ones that you're seeing, these are social dances. These are celebration dances that we have. So if you want to take a little, Snapchat or TikTok or, just a video for yourself, you're more than welcome to of the dances. You won't be scorned or anything like that. You'll be okay. We're going to be asking our women's jingle dress dancer to come on out here. Let's give her a round of applause as she comes out. This is Janae Jackson. She is wearing the jingle dress. This dress comes from the Ojibwe people of the Great Lakes region. This is a dance that originally started in that area. It's a medicine dress, and you'll see nowadays that we use this dance. The ladies will travel from place to place, celebration to celebration, and we'll see this dance being done. But originally, this is a medicine dress that was used in the Great Lakes region. But today, we want to share with you, there's going to be two songs, a straight song that's going to start out. And when you see her dance, she's going to be dancing, and you'll see the footwork that she has, the bounce that she does, along with the beat. All of our dancers, their feet are going to keep in time with the drum beat. So you'll see that. And then on the second song that she'll get is it's called a side step. It's a dance that almost like the circle dance, but it's sped up. The drums beat is sped up a little bit, and it goes along with the teachings of the Ojibwe people. So we're going to go into our second style of dancing here, the women's jingle. All right, there you go. Song number one for Janae, the women's jingle dress dancers. I don't know if you guys noticed the arena floor in here, the sand. Just walking in sand is kind of hard. Imagine them out there dancing to these songs. We were going to try to go like a longer song, but we don't want to put our dancers through that, making them dance in the sand. So what we are sharing is a more of a condensed version of each dance, because we didn't want to make them stay out there for what we call 4 verses. We didn't want to tire them out, because some of our dancers are actually here. There's a powwow going on over in Auburn, Washington right now, the Muckleshoot Reservation. One of our dancers, I don't know if there's any rodeo people out here that used to do this. Hit one rodeo, ride, and then take off and go hit another rodeo that same day or that same weekend. That's what one of our dancers is doing right now. He danced this afternoon, drove over here from Auburn. He's going to dance for you. Then when we're done here, he's going to drive back to Auburn to go finish out the powwow over there. So, yep, he's going to be doing it. He was almost distracted by that corner over there, but I told him, nope, you got to drive to Auburn still, so. But we're going to get going with our second song for the women's jingle. Here we go, Janae Jackson. All right, there we go. Round of applause, Janae Jackson. I believe she's going into the 6th grade, right? She's going to be a 6th grade at the Mount Adams Middle School out there in Harrow, Washington. Now we're going to be, give her a round of applause. Now we're going to be calling upon our men's grass dancer. This is our men's grass dancer. This is Des Walsey. He is traveled throughout the United States and Canada. The grass dance comes from the Omaha people. This was originally a dance, a society dance, but now we see it throughout powwow country, throughout Indian country, and you'll notice the outfit that he has, the eagle plumes on the top of his head there. The head roach that is worn, those are made by porcupine hair, the guard hair of a porcupine. And then you see his beadwork done by his family members. The hoop that he wears and those feathers that are hanging from there, those are golden eagle, immature golden eagle feathers that are hanging. And the way that we're told this grass dance, you'll see the flowing fringe on his outfit. Those are, a lot of our dances imitate nature, imitate animals or things that we see in nature. And it's called the grass dance because you see that, that fringe kind of on the prairie, you know, the wind blows through it and that grass kind of flows back and forth. That's kind of why these grass dancers wear that fringe on their outfit. And this men's dance that you see, you'll watch his footwork. There will be different moves on his footwork and his upper body movements to imitate, you know, the best that he can. And this is the grass dance. This is Des Walsey. Ah, yeah, there you go. Song number 1. Yep, those songs will get you. These dances that we have. Sometimes the songs are a little bit fast. Sometimes they're a little bit slow paced. Sometimes they're medium. Sometimes the dancers will feed off of the drum. But they always do a great job out there. I'm proud of this young man. He's a nephew of mine. He's been traveling throughout. Lately, he's been at home helping his mom with his siblings. But today, I'm glad he got to come here to share his dancing. And we're going to be going to a second song with Dez. He's going to be getting a crow hop. He'll be getting a crow hop song. And as I was saying earlier, a lot of our dances, a lot of our the ways that we imitate nature, we imitate things that we see, and sometimes if you watch birds or you watch the crow or you watch eagles, the way they move, sometimes they just hop along. They just hop along. They don't walk. They don't have a strut. Some of them do, like sage grouse. You'll see that, but what we're doing here, this dance is the beat is a little bit slower, and it's a hopping beat. It's a choppy beat that we're going to have, and he's going to share that dance with you. So this will be the second song, Deslin Walsey. Oh, yeah, there you go. Round of applause. Des Walsey, our grass dancer. Single guy? I don't know. Don't want to say? Yeah. Just teasing him. I don't know if you guys know, but our tribal members that lived in this area, Kittitas Valley, we had bands of the Yakima Nation that lived here. And there were times of year that we would gather and we would come and we would have our dances, we would have horse races, we'd have gambling, what was called stick game. We'd have different types of gambling games that we would have. So this area here is a homeland to our Yakima people. We still have our Yakima tribal members who live in this area. There's a table right over there that have some of our tribal members that live in the area here. Over there, table 15. He's an innocent guy, though. Yeah. The Aronica family. Yeah, let's give them a round of applause. Now we have our woman's fancy dancer. This dance that you're going to see here is a more upbeat, challenging dance. This dancer here, her name is Susie Walsey. Susie Walsey, she lives in Warm Springs. She moved to Warm Springs, the Warm Springs Reservation, but she was living up in the Tacoma area for a while. She grew up in Wapato, Washington. She also traveled throughout the United States and Canada as a champion fancy dancer. This is the women's fancy shawl dance. The songs that she's going to get, you're going to notice, are a bit faster. The moves are a lot quicker. She's got light on her feet. She's quick, and you'll see her shawl movements, her spins, the way that she does her moves and her actions are are quick. They got to be quick, quick to keep up with the drum. Sometimes when we go to powwows, you'll see the dancers will be challenged by the drum. They'll try to sing a tricky song to where the beat will stop. They'll try to buck them off, kind of what we're doing. That's what we call it when we're at powwows. You know, oh, we bucked them off. They missed the stop. They didn't get it. But when they do get the stops, it's exciting. You know, it makes us happy too as singers when we see the dancers. They get the moves down and they do their awesome moves and their stops along with the drum. And this dancer that you're seeing now, she's no different. She gets a lot of the songs that we have. Sometimes she'll get bored with the women's songs and she'll go out there and exhibition with the men just to challenge them and say, look, I can do what you guys can do. So this is Susie Walsey, the women's fancy dancer. Yeah, there you go. Woman's fancy. I don't know if our dancers told the singers what they wanted for a second song. I'm going to look at Susie. Do you want a crow hop? A crow hop? A crow hop will do. That's what we're going to give her. Crow hop. You know, I was talking earlier about the arena, the floor, the sand. Imagine doing your aerobics at home, but you're not doing it on a hardwood floor. You're doing it in the sand. That's kind of what these dancers are doing right now, and especially these fancy dancers with their faster movements of their feet. So let's give them a round of applause as we get ready for song number 2. There we go. Round of applause. Susie Walsey. All right. Our next is our men's fancy dancers. We're going to do a full song, and he's challenging. All right. So we're going to do just a one full song for our men's fancy dancers. And we were talking about the challenge of keeping in time with the drum, keeping in time with the beat. And you're going to see this dancer here, a men's fancy dancer, a men's fancy double bustle dancer. You'll see on the top of his head, he has the golden eagle feathers. He also has the porcupine head roach. His bustles and his arm bands, those are made from chicken feathers, turkey feathers, And you'll see around his calves, those are Angora sheep furs, and then he has some sheep bells. Those are you'll listen, the bells will keep time with the drum, his feet, all of his moves that you're going to see. This is going to be an exciting dance. He's not going to get 2 songs, so you're only going to get 1 shot at this to watch him and try to keep up with his dance moves and the beat that we're going to have for him. This is one of the challenging songs that he will get to challenge himself, keeping up with the song, and also making the stops. You'll hear the drum will stop, so he should stop at the same time. So here we go. We're gonna have this is, oh yeah, I didn't introduce him. This is Gary Olney. We call him Pony. He's been called Pony since he's a little guy. He's still a little guy, but we still call he's Pony. This is Gary Olney. He's from White Swan, Washington. The men's double bustle fancy dancers. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, men's fancy. Yep, there you go, men's fancy dancer. How about a round of applause for all of our dancers once again this evening? I also want to take a moment just to introduce our singers. Wild Rose travels throughout the United States and Canada. Most recently, they came back from this past weekend. They were in Shakopee, Minnesota. They came back. Some of them flew, some of them drove. But either way, they're here to come and sing and share their songs. This is Ethan Wallahy, Leroy Morning Owl, Buck Wallahy, Cecil Jackson, and myself. My name is Casey Mac Wallahy. You'll notice that the singers, we come here to represent, we represent our families, our tribe, our communities. Wherever we go, we try our best to represent our people. And this evening, you'll notice that these singers, we're actually the singers around the drum right now. They're actually wild horse racers too. They go to rodeos, participate in a wild horse race. They're going to be here next weekend, right? These guys will be competing next weekend, and you'll notice today that we're wearing the purple and the turquoise. We always try to do our best to represent, and sometimes we wear the red, but today we're wearing the purple and turquoise, because we always try to bring awareness for the suicide awareness. We have brothers, we have friends, we have community members that have suffered with that, so we wanted to wear that today for that suicide awareness. And then we do want to share with you, if there's time, where's Nate? Is there time for one more? To heck with it, might as well, huh? So we did ask you if you wanted to participate. That we do have one social dance that we can call all the people out if you want to come out here with our dancers. It's a circle dance. It's a round dance. It's a social dance for everybody to come out and join us. No pressure. no pressure, but royalty. I'm not going to call anybody out, but royalty. I'm just kidding. You don't have to if you don't want to. But our dancers are going to come out here, and you can come and join them if you want. You're more than welcome to. We're going to do 2 verses. You only have 2 verses to come out. It's an easy dance. You stand side by side in a big circle, and you go around, and you just enjoy each other's company. You can hold hands with each other. You can smile. You can laugh. As long as you're out here dancing alongside with our tribal members. So here we go. We're going to go 2 starts for a circle dance. All right. How about a round of applause for yourselves? Thank you to each and every one of you for coming out here to dance. Thank you for each and every one of you for your hospitality. Thank you to Nate and the Hall of Fame crew for inviting us out here once again. This is Wild Rose, and these are the dancers. So when we walk out of here, let's just say thank you, and let's give our dancers another big round of applause.
How about one more round of applause for our friends from the Yakima Nation? And somebody who has just hired himself as next year's MC to replace me, Casey Mack. Really quick, I want to bring Nate Bradshaw back up here. He is in charge of our archives. Like I said, I've introduced him once or twice before. He's in charge of our archives. He's going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing with our financial contributions, our donations, and a little bit of some plans for 2025 and 2026. So back to the lectern is Mr. Nate Bradshaw.
All right, thank you, everybody. I want to start by saying whoever was here last year and in previous years, we have a lot of people who come back year after year, and thank you, everybody who has helped us out in the past with our archives, with our museums, with contributions. Your money is being used. It's being used for the archives. It's being used to better what we have. Last year's contributions helped us buy saddle covers for our priceless saddles up in the archives. We've had a team coming through and washing them and oiling them and helping preserve them, so the saddle covers help. We finally have an AC unit in our second floor archive, which is a godsend. We are very appreciative of that. And it helps preserve our artifacts as well, so thank you for that contribution. And last, Miss Betsy Billiter has been busy working and sewing garment bags for our priceless textiles and garments up there. So your materials, your contributions have helped us with that. So we really do appreciate you helping us keep the tradition, spirit, and history of the Ellensburg Rodeo alive. This year, we got to looking at our archive at our museum and realizing that we don't recognize all 134, well, 137 now, members of the Hall of Fame. And that's not right. So we are putting together a series of posters, a whole wall for our entire inductee class. Every one of these is going to have a picture, a year, and a category for each of these so they are recognized in our museum. So thank you in advance for allowing us to continue recognizing the icons of the Ellensburg Rodeo.
Thank you, Nate. We can't do what we do without you. Our president, Mitch Truax, who I can't see where he's at right now, too many lights in my eyes, but he mentioned we're not here without the help of you, without the help of our allied organizations, like the Ellensburg Rodeo Board, the Posse, our friends from Cleellum, the Roundup. And so because of you, we can continue to put on shows like this from our friends from Wild Rose. We can continue to honor our inductees year after year. And this year we have decided to do a Raise the Paddle. You'll notice in your folders, you'll have a bid number. What we're going to do is raise the paddle for a voluntary, of course. If there's somebody who would like to donate, and we have different levels of donation here, if you could raise your paddle and keep it up until you hear your number called, that'd be wonderful. Again, we want to continue to preserve our archives. We want to continue to grow our artifacts. We want to continue to preserve that and keep them in good shape. And we want to continue to welcome everybody into the museum. We'll start our Raise the Paddle contribution level at 1,000. Is there anybody here who would like to 116, 116? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Our next level is at $250. $250 as a Raise the Paddle level. If there are people who would like to help contribute at the 49, Kent, 49, thank you very much. And 141, 141, thank you very much. 144, 144, 83, 83, 150, 150. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Our next donation level is at $100. 33, 33, 157, 162, 155, 53, 86, 147, 88, 90, 46, 96, 166, 139. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Our final level tonight is at $50. 41, 164. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Or 142, 142, thank you very much. What was that number? 115. 500. Okay, I'm sorry. What was that number again? I'm sorry. 115. for the $100. $500. You're talking to a guy with hard of hearing and he's not wearing his hearing aids. Don't tell my wife I said that. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to the trio of the hour, shall we? We want to introduce and honor our inductees. Our first inductee tonight is Tex Teliaferro, longtime board member, longtime posse member, longtime Kittitas County Roping Club member. His son, KT, Ken Teliaferro. His friends call him KT, so that's what I'm going to call him. KT will come up here in just a moment, but I want to invite Mike Allen up to the podium here to say a few words about Tex and maybe a few words about his friend KT as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Allen.
Can you hear me okay? Okay. Well, let's return to those thrilling days of yesteryear then, when Tex Teliaferro was an important contributor to the Ellensburg Rodeo. You know, John Lutka writes in his history of the Ellensburg Rodeo about the early years, and he calls them the golden years. And he's referring, in that term golden is referring specifically to a period of time immediately after World War II, stretching into the 1950s, till about 1959, the golden years of rodeo. And it's used by rodeo historians who talk about the golden age of rodeo. It has something to do with 1950 and the number 50 as the golden anniversary. And rodeo was roughly, professional rodeo was roughly 50 years old after the Second World War. But it's also has an aura to it because the war had ended rodeo for 4 years. Rodeos were canceled during World War II. And in 1945, thank God, after the war was over, then rodeo returned. And there was great rejoicing over that. And a new generation of cowboys and cowgirls then had grown up and began to enter the arena. And we know some of their names. Casey Tibbs, Golden Age. His arch rival, Deb Copenhaver, and friend, Deb Copenhaver from Creston, Washington, the all-around cowboy, Bill Linderman, and Dean Oliver, and many, many more icons of the golden age of rodeo. And we had that in Ellensburg. All those cowboys came to Ellensburg, and we had our golden age here too. And it was presided over by the golden voice, if you will, of George Prescott, the voice of the Ellensburg Rodeo, and a rodeo board that included, among many others, Lowe Driver and Art Driver, and Joe McManamy, Stu Bledsoe, Paul Goldade. There's so many others. Royal Court, the queens of the golden era, include Phyllis Fitter and Lois Clerf and Roberta Roberts, just to mention a few. And Tex Teliaferro was part of all of that. That was really his prime as a rodeo volunteer. Tex Teliaferro, as you can tell from the name, is not from the Pacific Northwest. He was from Texas, and he was from North Texas, the Panhandle, actually about a mile from the Oklahoma state line. Born there in 1911, he grew up around cattle and ranching and rodeo, and he stayed that way the rest of his life. Oklahoma was only a mile away, and that's where Thelma Bell lived. And Tex and Thelma courted, became sweethearts, and this was in the Great Depression, about the middle of the 1930s. Thelma moved with her family to eastern Washington state, where her father had a ranch near Neppel, Washington, a town we now today call Moses Lake. Now remember, this is before Grand Coulee Dam, so there's no irrigation out there or anything. And I imagine Tex Teliaferro, because Tex followed Thelma to eastern Washington state. I imagine Tex Teliaferro, when he looked around out there and saw all that sage country and that scrub, and heard the coyotes, and knew about the rattlesnakes. I imagine he thought, well, you know, this is a little bit like Texas, you know, just a little bit. It's got being in Eastern Washington is kind of like being in Texas if you've had 3 or 4 drinks, you know. And so he and Thelma married. They moved to Ellensburg, Washington in 1936, and their son Ken Teliaferro was born here in Ellensburg in 1950. Tex, of course, immediately got involved in the rodeo scene. World War II was on soon after they arrived, and he joined the Ellensburg Rodeo Posse, and the posse held horse shows during the war. It was illegal to have a rodeo. Professional sports were banned except for baseball during the war, and so they had horse shows at the rodeo arena, and the posse organized those horse shows. And so Tex was a very early member of the Ellensburg Rodeo Posse, alongside his friends, his good buddies, Low Driver and Art Driver and Herb Driver. And the drivers and the Taliaferros had something in common. They were all from Texas. The drivers had come to Ellensburg from Texas in the early 1920s. And so they got along pretty good. And Tex rode in the Ellensburg Rodeo Posse for 20 years. He was also a cow cutter. The best known of his horses was Skip. He won many cow cutting awards and prizes on Skip. And of course, he was a calf roper. And Tex Taliaferro won the Kittitas County Calf Roping Championship 3 years in a row, 1947, 1948, and 1949. And he won against a field of competitors that was mighty tough. And I'm just going to read the names of some of the other cowboys who won that championship during this golden age, this same period of time. Chet Morrison, Bud McNeil, Art Driver, Jerry Sanders, Bud Batte, Buck Miner, Jim Mitchell, Hardy Shore, Solly Hauser. That's a pretty tough field of contenders, right? And Tex won it 3 years in a row. Well, he served on the rodeo board. That was the third element of his participation in the rodeo. He joined the rodeo board in 1948, served until 52, then joined again in 1956, and served until 1970. So he had about 20 years of service on the Ellensburg Rodeo Board, and he was on just about every committee that they had. He was director of the parade for many years. He was interim arena director after his good friend Art Driver passed in the late 1960s and before Ken McCrae assumed that role in the early 1970s. And he orchestrated the grand entry of the rodeo, and which is probably one of the worst jobs on the rodeo board, you know. You know, I guess I should say this: Tex could be gruff at times. He could be a gruff guy, and evidently, if you weren't where you were supposed to be during the grand entry at the time you were supposed to be there, he was going to tell you about it. You would hear about that, and sometimes there was profanity interwoven into his speech, because Tex had a way with words. Tex Taliaferro had a way with words, and I'm not going to give you direct quotations here tonight, okay? But Ken told me that when referring to show-offs and braggarts, Tex used to say, "It takes a big dog to weigh a ton." But when a cowboy expertly roped a calf or stayed aboard an ornery bronc, Tex would proclaim, "Hell's Katoot." I have no idea what that means. Oh, and then he would say, "Boy, oh boy," and another little boy. Well, Thelma Taliaferro worked at the National Bank of Washington. She finished her career at the Kittitas County Treasurer's Office, where she worked under Betty Spence and the county courthouse. And she was a member of the Posse Auxiliary, the Women's Auxiliary, and the Cowbells, an early version of what today we know as the Kittitas County Cattle Women. I've got a lot of memories of Tex. I remember that he was always involved in the 4-H cattle auction and show in the county fair, like he didn't have anything else going on at that time, and volunteered at that and worked at that every year. The Lincoln Elementary School Fun Fair, which we had every spring as a fundraiser for the PTA. Do they still have that, the fun fair at Lincoln Elementary School? It was a fundraiser, and they had a pony ride, and Tex Teliaferro organized the pony ride, and he brought the horses, and they ranged in size from very large to very small, and then he ran the ring too, and he was good with children. He was a good father. He was good with children, and I especially remember in Cub Scouts, we went up to Camp Elahi every June for about 3 or 4 years, and Tex would load us into the back of his truck. There was no carpooling or station wagon. He loaded us into the back of his truck, which is a 2.5-ton truck with sides, and there was a little area for hay because he carried 2 horses in there. And he loaded 7 or 8 Cub Scouts in there with all their sleeping bags and all their gear and everything. And then we drove 20 miles up the Tiana way, and it was like hog heaven. We were so happy. And, it's the darndest thing. No one turned us into child protective services during that time. I gotta, go figure. Well, I grew up in a group of children, within a group of children whose dads belonged to the Ellensburg Rodeo posse. And there's some of them here tonight. I made some good friends among that group of children, but most especially one of them was Ken Teliaferro, who was just my age. And I guess we've been friends about 70 years now. Go figure. Anyway, we're going to invite Ken Teliaferro up now to accept this award on behalf of his dad, Tex Teliaferro.
Well, I guess he would say, boy, oh boy, and another little boy. That's pretty nice. Thank you to the Hall of Fame board and Mike and the people that put that article in the paper. I thought it was a really, really good article. Took away some of the stuff that I was going to say in some of the stories, and he just took away some more. And I did an interview with Nip Tucker for the Hall of Fame this morning, and that took away some more. So what I'm going to do is thank people that were friends of Tex and Thelma's throughout the years, and I think you can tell a measure of a man by their friends. These were people that were connected with branding and roping and 4-H and chaperones for the royalty of the rodeo. I just kind of stuck here for what to say because I'm not a real speaker. But these people remained their friends for all the years. There were people that would do anything that Tex would ask, and he would do anything that they would ask if they at all possibly could. And I remember these people having dinner at our table or us being at their table every Saturday and Sunday, almost all through the year. We were somewhere eating dinner or having people at our place. And as they took me to these places, I became friends with some of the kids and have maintained that friendship, I hope, through the years. And these kids are all ones that Tex liked. And some of them were Bob and Ann and Jean and John Jr. Berkheimer and Pedro. And if you want to know about Pedro, ask Bob Berkheimer. Doug and Steve Driver, Pam and Nancy Driver, Joel and Lori Smith, Cody and Jeannie McNeil, and Sam Kaiser. And there was a lot of others. And when I made this list, I just started putting names on it. And there's a lot of people that aren't on the list that I didn't put on. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be there. It just means that I didn't get to it. Because I started doing the list and it started to get pretty long. And I cut it off at Ken McRae. So when I get down to Ken McRae, I'll be getting pretty close to the end of the list. I've got it on here somewhere on this phone. Some of these people are also people that like to dance. They were square dancers. They were rigadoon at the Elks Club. They enjoyed dancing at the Moose. And I remember several square dancings out at Fairview Hall, which was always something that was really fun to go to. So here's a list of the people. Some of these people, there's 4 or 5 people in here. I know they'll know all of them. And everybody will know some of them. Pop and Sarah Conat, Howard and Helen Shockey, Don and Peg Shockey, Smoke and Clem Kaiser, Larry and Elsie Frazier, Frankie and Don Whiting, John and Francis Berkheimer, Frankie and Don Whiting, John and Francis Berkheimer, Frank and Catherine Wallace, Art and Betty Driver, Lo and Emily Driver, Herb Driver, Jim and Jean Smith, Ed and Gwen Scott, Bud and Arlene McNeil, Ronnie and Joyce Bloxham, and Ken McRae. And Ken was one of the first people that I remember meeting when Tex started taking me around in the truck that Mike was talking about. When Ken had his vet shop that was down past the Y Cafe, if anybody remembers where that is. It was about 9 blocks down by the South Interchange. And him and Ken were connected not only because Ken was Texas' go-to vet for horses, cattle, and dogs. He was also a roper that roped with Tex. He was in the rodeo club. He was in the posse. He was on the rodeo board. Just all kinds of different things and positions in the rodeo board. And I remember that him and Tex were up every morning for the rodeo at dawn, sorting the cows and the calves and the steers for the day's shows. Things that you don't ordinarily think about, things that have to be done that people do and you don't think about to put that thing on. And so, thanks to all those people. I do have one short text story and then one more item, and then I'll be out of gas and be out of here. Art and Tex Driver had a horse that they thought was pretty fast. And they were down at one of those rodeos like Topnish or Wiley City, around all the cowboys, and they were saying how fast their horse was. And some guy says, "Well, I got a horse, he's pretty fast, I think he can beat yours." And some other guy pops up, "Oh, my horse is faster than both of yours." Pretty soon they have a whole bunch of guys that have the fastest horse. And he started throwing money into a hat, and winner take all, and Tex and Art's horse won. And I don't know which one was riding, but they could both set a saddle pretty good. And they won this pot of money, and Tex was telling me this story. And he said they took all the money and went down the local watering hole and started buying drinks for everybody. And he said, "We spent every dime we won. We didn't save a penny. We spent everything." And then he stopped, and he said, "You know, I never knew how many friends I had until the money was gone." And he turned around, and he walked away, and he left me sitting there thinking about that. And evidently that worked, because evidently I'm still thinking about it. And that was one of the things that got this dumbass know-it-all kid who they couldn't tell anything to because I knew it all, to really realize that the older I got, the smarter they got. And I just want to thank, again, the Hall of Fame board for the induction. I've got one more little piece of business. Oh, and I'll also like to say, if you do anything for the rodeo when it's time to wear pink for Gretchen Weller, do that. Tex died of lung cancer. Thelma was a 30-year survivor of colon cancer. So if you can't give any money, then wear some pink for them. I've got this buckle that was sitting in the back desk for 30 years, and I never knew what it said. And not too long ago, I thought, well, what does that thing say? So I took out a rag and polished it up, and it's a guy on a saddle bronc, and the top banner says Ellensburg Rodeo, and the banner underneath says Tex Teliaferro, and the banner underneath that says Director 1948. So I would like to give this to Nate for the Hall of Fame to put with their buckle collection. Thank you, everybody.
KT, thank you very much. Mike, I think in your article you said Tex had a skillful use of profanity, and I love that term. I love that term. Let's move on and talk about a stock contractor who that name is, the Palmer Smith Cattle Company is just synonymous with the Ellensburg Rodeo. I've seen different dates as to when you started. I believe it was 1982 is when you brought a first set of cattle. Maybe it doesn't matter, I can say it's been at least 40 years, give or take. 40 plus years that Palmer Smith has been a part of the Ellensburg Rodeo, and it's been a great 40 years. It is amazing how much rodeo has changed. Mike, you talked about the golden age of rodeo after World War II, and that was like some glory years, but it's amazing what rodeo has done in terms of TV and marketing and apps and all the stuff that you can find on your phone or computer. But the one thing that doesn't change is the need for consistent and an even pen of cattle. Cattle that will give a cowboy a chance. Cattle that levels the playing field. No matter how good you are, you can count on the cattle coming out of the chute to be consistent every run. That's what Palmer Smith has done. That's why we continue to bring them back to the Ellensburg Rodeo for 40 plus years. And you'll be here next week as well. So as soon as we're done celebrating you, we're going to put you to work, Brent, you and your crew. And we love that for you. I don't know if anybody saw the article in the paper about a week ago or so that one of our board members, Daniel Beard, wrote. And I'm kind of not plagiarizing, but I'm using Daniel's words here. He talked about timed event cattle and the contractors kind of work in relative obscurity. Like a rough stock cattle or a rough stock horse, you'll know that's revolving door or homegrown or whatever it is. I'm not sure how you name your cattle, Brent, but that might be number 251. And there's nothing obscure about Palmer Smith cattle. They might know right now his cattle is in Kennewick. The short round is in Kennewick now. So somebody knows, and I'm just taking liberties with the name, somebody knows that the steer number 251 is going to give him a shot to win the short round, which might give him a shot to win the average. That's a big deal, and that's what cowboys can rely on with Palmer Smith, and that's what Ellensburg has continued to rely on as well. It's been doing that for more than 40 years, and we want to just thank you once again for your commitment. It's just an honor to work with you year in and year out. One of the things that both Brent and I talked about and Mr. Mike Beers and I talked about was these guys are partners in crime. I say that with a smile. When we announced them as inductees, it's a fun phone call to make. Both of them, when they found out that they were being inducted, and I knew the relationship, but I didn't know how deep that relationship went. And they both started laughing, which to me means there's so many stories that I won't be able to tell you tonight, but maybe after another couple of rounds with my friend at the Palace there, the bartenders, we'll hear a few more stories about late nights or weird cattle or funny stories or whatever it is. But one of the things that these guys did was they have been so good at promoting rodeo, and then specifically team roping. Team roping is an incredible event. My table mate in the back at number 22 will agree with me there. It's an incredible event, but it rose. It was not an event within rodeo that got the same amount of attention or respect as the calf roping or bull riding or saddle bronc or the bulldogging, because it was two people. So it was hard to get even money. It was hard for any rodeos to include the event, but it was also for the rodeos that added it, they didn't have the same amount of money. So team ropers were splitting the same pot of money by two, whereas calf ropers didn't have to split it with anybody. And Beers and Palmer together said, no, we're going to change that. So with their ability to provide quality stock and Mike's ability to market the heck out of things, they were able to put together USTRC, United States Team Roping Championships, Northwest qualifiers that got team roping going in the Northwest. And then they also, and we'll talk about it a little bit, it made team roping just, again, synonymous with Columbia River Circuit rodeos. And that doesn't happen without Palmer Smith cattle, without quality cattle, and making it worth a cowboy's while, worth their time to come in and compete on even stock, on a good pen of cattle. Before I end, the Palmer Smith family is all here. They're on a couple of tables. One of the things that I'd like to say is I'd like to think that we're honoring the entire family. I'd like to think that Davey is here enjoying this honor. I'd like to think he's with us tonight. So a tip of the hat to the entire family of Palmer Smith. I want to bring up Sam Kaiser here, who's going to accept the award for Brent Palmer and the Palmer Smith Cattle Company. Where is Sam right now? Sam Kaiser. There he is. Come on up, Sam. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, another inductee, Palmer Smith Cattle Company.
Thanks, John. Wake up, everybody. Wake up. Besides being hot, it's drug on a little bit, but we'll try and spice it up a little bit. We'll try and spice it up a little bit and not make any enemies at the same time. First, we'll start with a joke. I see Gina McNeil here. Her dad and my dad and one other guy went to a rodeo in Canada, and they went out to have fun with the friends. My dad and Bud came home early, and their friends stayed to be cooler than them. Well, the next morning, a different guy down the hall comes and knocks on the door. My dad jumps up to open the door. Well, they had both slept in previous rodeos with the guy that didn't come home. So when they got in bed together. Well, my dad gets up to answer the door, and Gina's dad bolts up and smoke, says, mess up the other bed before you open the door. So the good times they don't talk about. I'm talking for Brent, because Brent's battled throat cancer since 2010. And it gave him a brief respite for about 4 or 5 years, and then it got in his tongue, so he has trouble talking. and I get the chance for him to say thank you and give a little more private history about him. And the thing he was very, very adamant about was to thank the committee people. And he mentioned specifically Ken McCrae, Joe O'Leary, and Bill Lau, and Scott Repp. And he said he really got some nice friendships out of the whole deal. And if it wasn't for their fine work and the gain in the friendships, he wouldn't have got to where he's at. But before I got sidetracked with the X-rated stories, that's what he really wanted to get through, was to thank his friends and for what they'd done for him. Little history with Brant before we get back to his rodeo accomplishments. Brant and I are first cousins. His mom and my dad are brother and sister. And we were raised down in Centerville, which is about the size of Thrall. And we grew up together. And I don't know if anybody remembers. Everybody here looks like they're old enough, for most of them, to remember the Barbara Mandrell song that I was country before country was cool. Well, Brent and I were transgender before transgender was cool. We took a lot of baths together at 2 and 3 years old. And our comparison started at a young age. It really did. And the story on one of the stories on Brant, my sweet aunt told me I couldn't tell the one that I wanted to tell. So I had to tell the one that in Centerville, it consisted of a grocery store, a Grange Hall, and a fire station. And at one time, there was a little restaurant. And Brant showed up knocking on the door at the restaurant because it was right next to the store that his mom ran. And he had his holsters on and was ready, and his boots. That was all he had on at 3 years old. And I don't know if he was going to pull a hold up or what, but you know, you might be a redneck if you show up at the neighbor's house with your 6 guns on your hip. He went on to school, high school, and he was a all-league basketball player at school, and went to Walla Walla Community College when there was like 18 community colleges in the league. He went down there with Tony Whipple, and they both had got their rides paid to go down there. Brant had dang sure enough success. The thing I forgot here, because I just got to write this last night, I was going to transgress up through his life. At high school, while he was an all-league player, he also got in a fight at school, and they were wrestling around, as the story went, because we'd moved to Ellensburg by then, and Brant bit off the end of the guy's finger. And I said, Brant, what? He said, well, I was gouging him in the eye, and he gave me a fish hook in the mouth and pulled my head around. Said, so I had to bite his finger off. Needless to say, that was before we got politically correct. Brant had to wear an eye patch, and the kid had to wear one of those little metal braces on his finger, and everybody had to stay home from school for a week. But it didn't get any worse than that, and to show the career of the 2 participants, it was over a girl. So it's either money or a girl. Anyway, after he went to college, he did pretty well in the college competition, but afterwards, he was looking for something to get going with his career. He did teach for a year after school, or after college, didn't really like it, so he was going to ride colts, or he thought he was going to ride young horses to break them to train, and he'd heard about snubbing them up and everything. So he didn't have anybody there. So he tied one up to a tie on about 4 foot of rope. Well, it's not like somebody was snubbed up on the saddle horn. Well, with 4 foot of slack in that rope tied to the fence, it didn't go very well for Brant. He didn't have a helmet on, and nobody could believe that he would actually do that. After he got done with that and survived, he went to Walla Walla, and I remember distinctly, after college, he started his business with 20 roping calves. They expanded it, him and Dave Smith, to 500 steers that they bought on the Mexican border, and they had about 140 to 180 calves there, and it grew from 20 roping calves. I was there and saw it when they started it, and when he started, they were just supplying calves for the college to practice on. Then pretty soon he made a deal with some guys to rent some steers to rent to the college, and it grew from there. His first, and he's pretty proud of this, the first PRC rodeo that he supplied cattle for, Frank Beard called him up and asked him if he would bring the calves to the rodeo. And within 4 years, he had 6 contractors in the Northwest that he was supplying calves and steers for. So he's been very, very adaptable. As far as competing in the rodeo, one year, this is Brant's grandson. And I had a neighbor that told his son, when he was arguing with him as a teenager, he said, the worst thing he could think of to say is, I hope you grow up and have a kid just like you. Well, Brant's got a grandkid just like he was. Brant's got a grandkid just like he was. After Brant got going with Dave, then in their Palmer Smith, Dave got killed in the plane wreck on Mount Rainier, and Brant and Davey were really close. I remember going to a rodeo with Davey and saying, you know, it's really amazing how you and Brant have the partnership and friendship, because Davey married Brant's sister. That's how they got together. And Davey looked at me and he said, Sam, if you can't get along with Brant Palmer, you can't get along with anybody. And he was really sincere. He said, if you can't get along with Brant, you can't get along with anybody. After Davey got killed, Brant and Davey also was rodeoing, so Brant was providing a large part of the labor at home. But after Davey got killed, he was really in the labor. He still kept this Palmer Smith name. Teresa, by then, Brent's sister and Davey's wife, was having health problems, and she supported as much as she could financially. But Brent and his 2 boys and Davey's son now, they provided the labor and kept it together. At one time, they just had ranch calves here at Ellensburg and at Pendleton. And pretty soon the genetics of the calves got to where they were too big to compete on. And Brant filled the void for them and stepped in and still supplying them to this day. Brant would like to put a special thanks out to Scott, because when it got too hard to buy beef calves, because the price got too high and there weren't enough when you had to buy 180, 220-pound calves and cross Mexican steers, Scott sold him some longhorn cows and that had calves with them, did not take any payment until the next 2 years, when Brent was able to pay him with calves and didn't have to come up with the money. And he hasn't forgot that. I had to elbow Scott away from our table to get to sit by Brent tonight, but they're pretty good friends, and it doesn't go unappreciated, Scott. It really doesn't go unappreciated. Don't know much else other than I really know Brent. He's not faking throat cancer after 15 years. So that isn't why it's not up here. And it's really quite brave. And please forgive me for not thanking Linda, his wife. Linda's the one that worked at the courthouse for 40 years and got the paycheck every 2 weeks and helped raise those spoiled little kids. She really should not go unappreciated. And he's the best. He really is. Thank you.
I don't know how to follow that, but I'm going to try. Just to clarify, I think you used the word transgender. I wasn't expecting that tonight, but it got us to laugh, and I don't know how to follow that, but that was awesome and hilarious. Let's talk about Mike Beers, Mr. Consistent. I stole that from the PRCA website, but I've heard that before. I'm going to talk a little bit about him, but let me go over a couple of bullet points, if you will. 26-time national finals rodeo qualifications in team roping and calf roping. Another qualification for the national finals steer roping. 31 Columbia River Circuit championships, which includes 11 all-arounds. Hold your applause, because I got more. 1984 team roping heeler champion with D. Pickett. Can't forget the Ellensburg 5-header championship in 1993. He won Ellensburg steer roping in 1988 and 1992. He won the Ellensburg all-around in 1993. And then the years that he didn't win Ellensburg, he was winning checks. And we were looking at it. Mike Allen and I kind of have a running log of Ellensburg times and results from 1923 until, well, through next week. There were 6 separate years that if Mike didn't win the average, he had the fastest go-round times in the first or second round, maybe the short round, in either the tripping, the team roping, or the calf roping. So even if he didn't win it all and somebody else did, they had to go through Mike Beers to get that average buckle. And that's one of the many reasons why, there's more reasons here in a second, but that's one of the many reasons why we are inducting him tonight. And that's also the reason why in 2017, the PRCA, Pro Rodeo, inducted him into the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame. Again, that was in 2017. One of the stories that we kind of talked about was your 2007 year. I can't remember if this is your word or my word, but kind of in the twilight of your career of rodeoing hard. But some guy named Brandon, his son, convinced him to go on the road together. And Mike, of course, said yes. I mean, how can you not want to rope with your son? And they won Houston. And if anybody knows Houston, if that's not the biggest regular season rodeo, it's the biggest rodeo in the regular season every year. They won Houston together, so Mike had no choice. He had to keep that lead in the world standings and keep that place in the top 15. And they continued to win, and they continued to stay in that top 15. And they made it to the NFR. They won checks in 3 rounds, I think it was, in 2007. But let's pause for a second, because in late July, and maybe I'm stealing your thunder here, Mike, you might, if you're talking about late July, he got into an accident in a practice arena. He broke his pelvis, broke his shoulder. They still made it to the NFR. Which to me is just amazing. Mike might come up here and say it was all Brandon's doing, but I don't know. We'll see. But the thing that we talked about the most in our conversations was about people. He's a gregarious personality. I felt like I made a friend over the phone, but we were just talking about the people he met and the relationships that he built. He was incredibly proud with Brent what you and him were doing for the circuit, for team roping, representing cowboys and representing families as well. And I'm telling you, if you didn't know where Mike, lives, an Oregon cowboy lives in British Columbia now, you would swear that he's from Ellensburg, that he lives in Ellensburg or was born in Ellensburg. He rattles off names: Miners, Andersons, Wallaces, Reps, Smith, Tucker. When we did the oral history this morning with Nip Tucker, you can find it on our YouTube page when we post it. It was like two friends, and it was two friends just having a conversation. We have a list of things. Same with you, Brent. We have a list of questions that we'd like to talk about, and it wasn't a scripted thing. It was just a conversation. And in our conversations, we were talking about I think your first roping clinic that you taught, you were 14 years old, and somebody had kind of prepared you for it on your way to the clinic, if I remember. 14 years old, I'm 48, and somebody asked me to teach a clinic. I don't know if I could do that or if I'd want to do it, but that got the bug, and he has taught roping clinics all over the country, all over the world. You spent a month in Spain, I think it was. Imagine a big dude like that walking around in a cowboy hat in Madrid, Spain or something. I don't know where you were, but we'll say it was the capital city there. Does anybody know who Junior Negata is? He sent me a photo of the 3-time world champion. Junior's got 2 team roping titles and the 2016 all-around title. There's a picture of Mike at a clinic that he put on in Brazil, and Junior, who's about hip high, is standing right in front of him, and that's just kind of a foreshadow of history. So it's his relationships, it's his want to train somebody that maybe they want to just be a professional roper, maybe they want to hone their skills to go about rodeoing year-round or rodeoing hard, or maybe it's somebody that just wants to pick up a new hobby. If there's a commitment there, Mike is all about it. So ladies and gentlemen, joining me to the stage, Mr. Mike Beers.
Hello, everybody. I want to thank the committee. I've been really lucky in my rodeo career. I started when my first horse was a Shetland pony when I was 7 years old. My dad was a restaurant owner. Any of you that know me knew my dad. He owned Jack's Fine Foods there in Big Junction. And my dad didn't rope, but he loved cowboys. And he was I wanted to be a cowboy since I was a little kid. I have 3 brothers, and none of them rode or anything. And my dad and mom had that restaurant, and down the road about a mile was a little place called Cherry Blossom Trailer Court. And there's a guy down there named Charlie Brown. And when I was a little kid, I used to ride my Shetland pony down there all the time. And he's the one that kind of started me roping. And my dad sent me to a roping school when I was 9 years old to Jim Inman in Sunnyside, Oregon. And kind of got me started there. And then my dad hired people to run the arena and stuff for me in Rufus there for the arena. He built the arena in 1968, indoor arena. And that's the one where Britt and I decided to put on the U.S. TRC roping. Team roping at the time was kind of dying at the time. And we needed something. You either had to be a pro or an amateur, and people wouldn't compete together. So some guys, Denny Gentry and Gary Porthos, decided to come up with this number system. And we numbered the guys at the gate at the first rope we put on. And at the time, if you had a team rope, you might have 100 teams max. The first rope we had was on Friday night, and Joyce Sewell ran the secretary for us. And we had 160 teams in the number 6 roping. And the number 8 roping followed it, and we had 400 teams. And they'd never seen nothing like that. And it's all when he'd bring me 300 head of steers every year to Rufus, and we'd put on these ropings. And the last time we had it there, we had 2,900 teams in 4 days. And that was a lot. But I want to thank the committee. I have a lot of really good friends here in Ellensburg. Scott and Jill Rep are great friends of mine. The miners, we go back. I bought my PRCA card with Pat Miner. Started out my rodeo career with him. But I've been really lucky. I've been inducted to quite a few Hall of Fames here in the last couple of years, I guess. It's been really neat. But this one here has kind of been one of the coolest ones I've been involved with, the Indian dance and the community around here. My first endorsement was with a guy named Jerry Anderson, Roper Supply. I was 18 years old, and he gave me my first free rope, and it kind of started from there. And but it's been a great ride. I've enjoyed it. I've got to do some fun stuff. A couple stories I've thought about. John and I talked about. And anybody that knows me know I have a lot of stories. My wife, Barbara, she knows I have a lot of stories, and she's heard a lot of them, but she keeps laughing at the jokes. So, and I got my little grandson here with me, Eric. He's 3 years old. He's my little cowboy. But I got carried away, and I want to tell a couple stories. The story that John was told about was I'd kind of quit rodeoing in 05 and mainly just doing a lot of clinics, a lot of schools, and that's stuff I really enjoy. I love to teach. And my son Brandon had filled his permit the year before and was the rookie of the year and started out the year with Monty Joe Pesca, and it just didn't work out very good. And he called me next year. He said, "Hey, Dad, can you come on the road?" I said, "I really don't have a horse. I mean, I don't really want to go rodeoing. Things are tough right now." And I said, "Oh, I'll go with you." So we start out. We go to Odessa, and we're on our way to Odessa, and he's driving, and we're out there in the middle of New Mexico, around Lordsburg, and I told him he just got behind the wheel. I said, "We probably need to get gas up here pretty soon." He said, "All right." So I go back in the trailer. I'm sleeping, and I can hear him driving into this gas station, and he just kind of drives in and drives out. I'm thinking, well, maybe it wasn't open or something. We take off again down the road, and pretty soon we're about an hour down the road, and all of a sudden we're out of gas. And you can see Lordsburg about a mile ahead, and we can't get to it. We're out of gas. I said, "Hey, what happened?" He said, "Well, I just couldn't find a pump that I could fit in, I didn't think." I said, "Well, we need to go get gas." He goes, "Dad, I'm scared of the dark. I'm not going." All right, here I am, 50-some years old. I get out and I head to go get gas and finally get us going. And that was kind of the start of our career. And then we won a little bit going through the year, and then all of a sudden we come to Houston. I was telling this story the other day on Houston, and that's the first year they actually top-loaded to the winners win $50,000 to win the deal. So we roped the first deal. We ended up making the cut for the short round, and we make the top 10 in the short round. We come to the short round first. We're one of the first teams out, and I rope a leg. And I'm mad. I take off, and I'm out back unsaddled my horse, and because they bring back the top four for the final round. And I'm on my way back in, and Brandon Adams on his way out. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm unsaddled my horse. I'm pissed off." He said, "Well, you made the short round." I said, "Well, what do you mean I made the short round?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Walt Woodard's the last team out that had to go, and they just had to catch to beat you, and you made the short round." We end up making the short round. We come back, and we have a steer that wasn't very good, and wasn't a Palmer steer because it would have been really good. But this steer hauled ass and went to the right, and we catch him. We're like a long six, and I ride out of the arena. I'm out back taking my boots off my horse, and the lady comes back there. She goes, "Hey, we need you." I said, "What for?" She goes, "You just won it." I said, "What do you mean won it?" I think Riley Miner was one of the other teams that was up that night with us. I think they ended up breaking the barrier or something, and Cesar de la Cruz. I mean, there's really good teams behind us, and all messed up, and we ended up winning the deal, and it kind of gave us the shot to make the finals that year. And we did, and it was a great year. Like I said there at the end, I got hurt at the end, and that's another story. That's a long story. But one of the stories I want to share with you was years ago. This had to be in the 90s, and when Hermiston was just kind of getting going on the rodeo, and we left Omak, and I was roping with a guy named Doyle Gillerman, and we're headed to Hermiston to the rodeo, and I got to think my grandmother my aunt and uncle live in Umatilla, and they were going to bring my grandmother, she's 97 years old, to the rodeo. So I called David Botham's wife, Sid. I said, "Hey, listen, my grandmother's coming to rodeo. Can you get her tickets right there in the front?" I said, "I'd like to, have you go down and get a dozen roses, and I'd like to present them like during the grand entry to my grandma." She said, "Yeah, okay, no problem." So we're driving. We get to Hermiston. I get there, and I find Sid. I said, "Hey, did you get the roses?" She goes, "Yeah, I got the roses." I said, perfect. I said, you're going to do it in the Grand Nature? She said, no, David and Bush they got a way better idea. I'm thinking, okay, a way better idea from David and Bush. This is going to be good. So all of a sudden, finally the rodeo's going on pretty soon. They don't hear from them, so they're about ready to start the team roping. They go, hey, we moved you to the end of the team roping, and as soon as you guys get done roping your steer, they're going to hand you down the roses from the announcer stand, and you can go present them to your grandma. I'm going, that could work out good. But, I mean, what happens if I miss? They said, oh, you won't miss. Okay, so I'm roping with Doyle Gillerman, so I don't even tell Doyle what's going on. I don't want him to know, and I'm thinking, and we end up winning the rodeo, and I got to give my roses to my grandmother. That's one of the coolest things I ever got to do. So, all right, well, thank you guys very much. I mean, I really appreciate this. The committee here is, you know, I was a director for the PRSA for 6 years, and I really understand what it takes to put on a rodeo like this. Ellensburg has been one of the greatest rodeos, especially for me being from the Northwest. You know, Pendleton, St. Paul, Ellensburg, they're all great rodeos. And years ago, we didn't have all the Texans come up here and take our money. We usually be able to get most of the money. Now we got all those guys coming and getting our money, but they're still great rodeos. Thank you, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about another round of applause for Mike Beers, Palmer Smith Cattle, and KT for Teliaferro. A wonderful night of honoring 3 great groups, great individuals, great families. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It's just a huge level of accomplishment here that we're honoring. I want to thank the Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame Board for just the incredible work that we do. But again, thank you very much for your generosity, for your applause, and we will see you at the rodeo in a couple of days. Have a good night, everybody.